What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis, including money, investing, the stock market, the fourth stimulus package update, and stimulus check update. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. I will keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. So we have some breaking news here today. Former President Donald Trump's first wife, Ivana Trump, has passed away here today. She was 73 years old. You can see a picture of her and the former president here in the picture here today. The former President Donald Trump had to say here today, by the way, that picture is from the Met Gala in 1985, that picture. So, yeah. Former President Donald Trump says, quote, "I am very saddened to inform all of those that loved her, of which there are many, that Ivana Trump has passed away at her home in New York City. Quote, she was a wonderful, beautiful, and amazing woman who led a great and inspirational life. Her pride and joy were her three children, Donald Jr., Ivanka, and Eric. She was so proud of them, and we were all so proud of her. Rest in peace, Ivana." Her children said in a statement, "It is with deep sadness that we announce her passing of our beloved mother, Ivana Trump. Our mother was an incredible woman, a force in business, a world-class athlete, and a radiant beauty and caring mother. She was a survivor. She fled from communism and embraced this country. She taught her children about grit and toughness, compassion and determination. She will be dearly missed by her mother, her three children, and 10 grandchildren." Police responded to her residence on Manhattan's Upper East Side, where she was found dead. Per ABC, her death is not considered suspicious at this time, and police say she appears to have died of natural causes. The state of Texas is suing the Biden administration over their executive order to protect women's choice and hospital abortion guidance. Here's the details on this. Texas is suing the Biden administration over its recent guidance reminding hospitals and physicians that federal law requires them to provide abortions if there is a medical emergency and the health or life of the patient is at risk. According to the suit filed in the Northern District of Texas, the Biden administration seeks to transform every emergency room in the country into a walk-in abortion clinic and is flouting the Supreme Court ruling before the ink is dry. Well, this is their quote from Texas. I mean, the ink is dry, but so they're trying to overturn this even for medical emergencies and the health or life of the woman, the patient, is at risk. They don't want to even allow abortions for medical emergencies either. The state is asking the court to issue a permanent injunction prohibiting the administration from enforcing this guidance. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, a Republican, said in a statement, "I will ensure that President Biden will be forced to comply with the Supreme Court's important decision concerning abortion, and I will not allow him to undermine and distort existing laws to fit his administration's unlawful agenda." Wow, we have quite a battle here on our hands. Under the current EMT/ALA law, if an emergency medical condition is found to exist, the hospital must provide available stabilizing treatment or an appropriate transfer to another hospital that has the capabilities to provide stabilizing treatment. HHS has said abortion care qualifies as stabilizing care if the woman's life is at risk. The law leaves it up to a physician to determine what qualifies as an emergency medical condition for a pregnant patient. But administration officials said examples such as an ectopic pregnancy, complications of miscarriage, or severe preeclampsia would apply. Now, note that my wife actually did have preeclampsia, severe preeclampsia, when she gave birth to my son, Julian. Now, my son, Julian, obviously, he's 4 years old today. Everything worked out okay, but her life was at risk. Her life was at risk. Now, obviously, Julian made it. Everything worked out okay. But when she gave birth, her blood pressure was like somewhere around 200 over 150. 200 over 150. And when she gave birth, her life was definitely at risk. They sent in what I call like a birth SWAT team, for lack of a better word. It was a severe situation. They had her on a severe dose of magnesium. She couldn't even walk because of it. She couldn't see more than a few feet in front of her. It literally had her disabled. She was physically disabled for more than a day afterward. She was bedridden, couldn't walk, couldn't see. It was a very traumatic time for her afterwards. She could barely hold the baby. She's told the story on the channel here before when she's been on with us, so I know she's okay with sharing it. But it was very, very traumatic. And the birth cost for that team alone was over $10,000. We didn't have to pay that per se. It went to our insurance, but the birth cost of everything was over $40,000. Over $40,000. Now we had to pay $10,000 because we have a $5,000 deductible per person, which actually costs for my wife and our son, who was born that day. His $5,000 deductible instantly kicked in, so we actually had to pay $10,000. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts here on the battle here for, do you think if the case of an abortion, if the woman could die, do you think that, now in this case, so my wife actually delivered a few weeks early. Um, they actually induced her a few weeks early because Julian stopped growing inside her. And they actually induced her a few weeks early, and she gave birth to Julian a few weeks early. So this births are dangerous. Births are dangerous, guys. Like, I get that everybody thinks everything in a perfect world, that everything's like, everything's a perfect little box. Things don't really work out that way. Now, I'm not advocating that for anything here, but I'm just saying that nothing's perfect, right? And sometimes a doctor may have to make a decision to save a woman's life, and there's going to be times where a woman's going to potentially die if they're not able to make a decision. You let me know your thoughts here in the comments. We'll have to see what's going to happen. But as of right now, President Biden has made this executive order to protect women's choice or protect medical decisions here. But we'll see what happens here as Texas has filed suit. Also, I have a few interesting stories here of, you can't make this stuff up. Let me know your thoughts. This is really, you could go several different ways here on this. Check this out. Okay, now this is really kind of a little bit strange, and I want to know your thoughts here on this. Ohio bill would allow impregnated people. It's weird it says impregnated people. I mean, it should say impregnated women, whatever, but to sue over unintended pregnancy. And it says here in the sub headline, see if I can zoom that in here a little bit. Quote, the average cost of giving birth in our state, in this case Ohio, but really in probably every state. I mean, it's not like it varies much state to state, I would think. The average cost of giving birth in our state is over $15,000. And imagine if you don't have insurance. Even deductibles alone are expensive and can rise substantially if there are complications, like I literally just told you. Too often, this cost is solely the mother's cost to bear. So I was really thrown back when I seen this. the bill would allow impregnated people to sue over unintended pregnancy. And when I thought about this, I was like, wow, this is such a crazy, crazy thought. Like, what is the world coming to today? But then I kind of thought about it back and forth here a little bit. I was like, there's so many different things that come to mind here. Like, first of all, well, the woman could be on birth control. I was talking about this with my wife here a little bit, right? First of all, the woman could be on birth control, and then she mentioned, well, a lot of women lie about being on birth control, and then they end up getting pregnant. Some people do this to hook the man. My wife said this, but then on the other hand, she said, well, on the other hand, there's all these men from the Supreme Court making these decisions for the women, taking away women's choice. So on the other hand, this would kind of counteract what the men are making. I mean, there was one woman judge out of the Supreme Court that did rule there, but mostly it was 80% of the Supreme Court that made the ruling were men, basically taking away the women's choice. So in essence, this would give some of the women's choice back, saying, hey, if a man gets her pregnant, she would be able to sue for some of the cost involved of the pregnancy, of the birth. Because if you think about it, if the birth costs $15,000, should the woman have to pay for all that? This is an interesting thought. And you think about like child support, that's different than the cost of the birth. Nobody ever really thinks about that. So that is kind of a fair point if you kind of thinking back and forth. Now, the other kind of thing to think about is protection. You know, you can wear protection when you actually do the act of, making the baby. So that's a fair point there too. Um, but that kind of goes both ways. The man or the woman, they're both kind of liable for that. They're both kind of liable for that. But that you also could, the women could have said she was on birth control. Maybe it didn't work. There's so many different potential uh, effects here or different situations here. So let me know your thoughts here. At first, I was kind of thrown back when I see this headline. I was thinking, what does the world come to that we could sue for this? But actually, after I thought about it for a few minutes, I actually, I actually was like thinking about it as a realist, just thinking about it realistically. At first, I was like, this is laughable, right? But then after I thought about it for a few minutes, I thought about all the women that have probably been taken advantage of over the years. And I thought about all the women that have probably gotten pregnant and the guy left. I mean, don't get me wrong. I try to think of myself as a good husband. And there's a lot of good men out there. And I'm a man, right? I'm speaking for all the good husbands out there. But there's a lot of bad husbands out there, right? There's a lot of bad husbands that get a woman pregnant, leave, and never pay child support. Of course, you can sue them, but at least I guess this gives the option to sue. This doesn't mean that you will win. This doesn't mean you will win. Okay. A judge would have to rule. The judge would have to rule. You could sue and lose. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Because again, she could sue and the judge could say, nope, sorry, you lose. You could have worn protection, you could have birth control, but there could be extenuating circumstances. There could be, you know, the woman could say, hey, it's half his fault because of this, that, and the other thing. He should have to pay half the birth or the full birth or whatever. Who knows? Maybe there's rape involved, and then maybe that's the case. Maybe the guy has to pay all the birth costs, So if this bill passes, and maybe if it passes in other states as well, maybe this holds men accountable for their actions in more situations because especially with Roe v. Wade overturned in a bunch of states where there's states, a lot of states, several states, where women can't um, get an abortion even for rape. Okay? Even for rape. There's no option at all. Well, now they could potentially be able to at least sue At least get some cost. Think about that. If they can't even get an abortion for rape, they have to pay for the birth, $15,000 on average. I know it's like, what is the world coming to here? It's just there's so many different situations that a lot of people have not thought through, and these things happen every day. There's 330 million people ish in the world, and that's why you can't put everybody in a perfect little box and say, well, you shouldn't have had sex. You can't do that. It's not how. It's just not. That's like saying everybody should go to work and make more money. It's not exactly how the world works, right? It's not that easy, right? But I thought that was an interesting story. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Meanwhile, in another related story and another version of you can't make this stuff up here, man, it's just, getting some interesting news here today. A pregnant woman was cited for the HOV lane. If you have HOV lanes, some states have them where you need at least two or more people to travel on a highway in a specific lane. You can't travel in the high lane in a highway specific lane unless you have two or more people in that lane, or you can get a ticket. Okay, some states have them, some states don't. Right? For states that have a lot of traffic, right? Well, this lady was cited with a ticket, and she says, "No, I have two people in my car. I'm pregnant." She says, quote, "I see this as two people. It's me and my baby." She says as her unborn baby should count as a second person. I know you can't make this stuff up, right? I thought that was pretty smart, pretty quick-witted there. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? Yeah, a pregnant woman in Texas, no less. A tech in Texas, where Texas is suing the federal government, right? Who was ticketed for driving in the high occupancy vehicle lane, the HOV lane, says her unborn baby should count as a second person, citing the Supreme Court's recent overturn of Roe v. Wade. Brandy Batone, I think I'm pronouncing that right, said on Monday she sees her incident as involving two people and plans to fight the ticket in court. She was 34 weeks pregnant at the time, was on the way to pick up her 6-year-old son here a few days ago, and she says she pulled up in the two-person HOV lane on the Central Expressway in Dallas. She was stopped at the checkpoint by a Dallas County sheriff who asked her where her other passenger was. And she said, "One officer kind of brushed me off when I mentioned this is a living child, according to everything that's going on with the overturned Roe v. Wade. So I don't know why you're not seeing that," I said. Two persons or people, the deputy told her that the rule requires two persons or people outside the body to be in the vehicle. I don't know if it says that. I think he might be making that up on the fly. Maybe if somebody knows the rule there, they could mention that in the comments. I'd be surprised if it says people outside the body in the Texas law there for the HOV lane. But I don't know. Somebody might want to look that up. She said she told the deputy that not trying to make a political stance here, but you understand that this is a baby. It's 34 weeks along, which is what is that? 8 times 4 is 32. That's 8.5 weeks. So that's very far along, and for sure she's kicking, and it's real life. 8.5 months. That thing's getting ready to pop, right? The deputy responded, "It is what it is." According, this deputy could have gave her a break, right? A second deputy then walked over to her, told her that she was being cited for, and printed out the $275 ticket. Wow. She said that the deputy told her the ticket would, quote, probably get dismissed, which annoyed her even further. She said, quote, "I was like, wait, you're telling me that you just wrote me a ticket for an HOV citation, and you're telling me that I can get it dismissed, but now I have to go to the courthouse to fight it. And it's just now you're wasting my time?" I see this as two people. The signs, if you drive downtown, say two, and I guess it just didn't fly that day. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts here in the comments. You would think the officer would give her a break that day, seeing as how she's almost 9 months pregnant. But I guess not. I guess not. So yeah, this is kind of the controversy here. Roe v. Wade is a big deal, and it's being fought tooth and nail, literally week by week here. Texas suing the U.S. federal court right now here. So, yeah, what do you think? What do you think? And how do you think this is going to end up? We got the elections coming up here soon, with the House and Senate going to potentially be redecided, redecided, and then that could recodify Roe. Uh, yeah, based on how this House and Senate refall, and millions of people are waiting here to see what's going to happen with everything, with gun safety, with Roe, with potentially more money coming out to people here, with the child tax credits, with Social Security raises, with inflation, everything, gas prices, the war in Russia. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click here to see this shocking new law that was just signed into law, which is absolutely crazy as well. And you can click here to see my newest stimulus check video, which millions of people are getting, and who's going to get them. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.